What's up, guys? Carolina Jackpot Chickadee checking in. It is Friday evening, and as promised, this is part 2 of the picks against the spread for week number 3 of the college football season, the weekend of the 19th of September. So I added 2 games to the slate here because, as promised, I was going to get one to replace Charlotte and UNC. Then I found out today that Houston and Baylor's not going to go off, but that one's been canceled. Which I was really looking forward to that one. That's unfortunate. So I replaced it with Florida Atlantic and Georgia Southern. Then I found out that one's canceled. Fuck this coronavirus. I mean, really. Fuck it in the nose, fuck it in the ear. I'll be glad when the shit starts to subside. I know the rest of you will as well. And everybody's trying. They're doing the best I can right now, but I mean, it's just something we got to deal with. Just part of life in 2020. Anyway, let's get right into these. UCF on the road at Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is 7.5-point underdog at home to UCF. You might look at this one and say, well, that's a no-brainer. UCF's going to blow them out. The offense is just too powerful, blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, you may be right. But we also got to look at Georgia Tech. I mean, really impressive last week. And to me, that was an impressive win going to Florida State. And as much as I besmirched the Seminoles a little bit, opening up a season, a brand new coach, new offense, all that, had a lot of momentum. Georgia Tech went in there and stymied them pretty much in the second half. Defense played pretty well. And they came away with a win. And that defense for Florida State is, say what you want, it's better than what UCF is bringing to the table, okay? I do believe both teams are going to score in this one. However, I just think that UCF is the better team here, better athletes, and the quarterback, Gabriel, it's his second year as a starter, who he kind of took over the year after Mackenzie Milton, who went down with an injury back at the end of the 2018 season, who's actually still listed on the roster as a member of the football team, but he's out indefinitely. I don't know that he'll ever suit up for them again. But studied the game extremely hard here going into his sophomore year, from what I understand. He was watching film every day with his coordinator, with his position coach, just learning to be a better quarterback. And that's scary looking at the numbers he put up last year. So for me in this situation, I just have to go with the road team. I think that Central Florida is just better, and they're going to win this game, I would say, by 2 scores in that range, 42-28, something like that. I think Georgia Tech will be able to put some points up on the scoreboard, but it's not going to be enough for them in Atlanta this weekend. Give me the Golden Knights to cover there. Here's the one that I'm interested in as well. App State at Marshall. App State laying 4.5 on the highway in Huntington, West Virginia. It's a matchup of 2 old Southern Conference rivals. Haven't played in a long time. And, Marshall with a freshman quarterback on their first game, which was 2 weeks ago. They blew out Eastern Kentucky 59-0. I really don't know if that was a litmus test of what this young man can do against, a more solid defense and with better talent, such as App State's going to bring. They will bring some pressure. They do have an intact defensive line, and their nature is to run the ball, returning 4 starters on the offensive line. Of course, they lost their best running back in Darionton Evans, but they've got some capable ones there still. And, of course, Zach Thomas, the quarterback, who seems like he's been there for 100 years. I just think that Appalachian State's the better team here. And looking at them last week, they did not cover the spread against Charlotte. but they had two turnovers in the red zone. They also allowed Charlotte to take a kickback 97 yards for a score. And I don't count that against your defensive numbers. So if you take that out of there, they covered the spread and won 35-13. But it was actually 35-20, of course, with that touchdown there. So they did not cover the number. But if you look at them last year, they didn't cover against Charlotte. The next week, they went to North Carolina, won the game, and covered. Later on in the season, they played Georgia Southern and lost at home. The next week, they went on the road to South Carolina as a 5-point underdog, and, well, we know how that turned out. Then, very late in the season, they failed to cover the spread at home against Texas State. Went on the road the next week against Troy, covered the spread. So I can see a little bit of a pattern there. Now, this is a different coach, but he has much the same personnel and much the same offensive philosophies that were there before. I just think they're the better team at this point in time. Give me Appalachian State to cover the spread against Marshall. I think they win by 7 to 10 points. Miami on the road at Louisville, 2.5 point underdog against Louisville is Miami. This one was a tough one to pick. Just kind of bouncing this around back and forth. You know, Louisville right now I think has just got more weapons offensively than what Miami does. Miami, yes, the really talented tight end and Brevin Jordan, probably going to be a first rounder. And De'Aaron King, we all know what he can do with his feet. And we saw a little bit of that last week. Kind of got off to a slow start. But that was a UAB defense that he was playing that had brought 9 starters back. So, I think that we will see a little bit more scoring in this game than we did in that one. I think that the defense that Louisville's bringing to the table is probably not quite as good as what UAB was bringing to the table. However, Louisville just looked really good to me last week. They did turn the ball over a couple of times, and Western Kentucky was able to benefit on 2 of the scores from that. But other than that, they played a really good game against a really good Hilltopper team. That one of the favorites over in Conference USA. This is going to be a primetime environment, as much so as it can possibly be. I believe fans are allowed to attend this in small doses. So for me, I just have to go with the home team here. And, home field advantage doesn't mean much, but if you've got 15,000 fans in the stands, it means something then. If there are no fans in the stands, it means nothing, in my opinion, other than the fact that you have to travel a little bit, which I really don't know what that's worth. So I'm going with the home team here in this situation. Give me Louisville covering that 2.5 at home against the Miami Hurricanes. That one's a tough one to pick, though. It really is. I think Miami has improved, and I think they're ready to clean up their opening game jitters, or they have probably cleaned up their opening game jitters this week in practice, and will probably look more crisp and polished this week. I just feel like Louisville's the favorite here. Wake Forest and NC State. NC State is a 2.5 point favorite here. I think that line has dropped a little bit. I don't know. I really don't get this line. I understand NC State's here is at home, but there will be no fans in the stands for this one. There are no fans in North Carolina right now at the games. Wake Forest, that covered the number last week against Clemson. They didn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. They could have scored probably 50 points on them if they wanted to, but they did some good things. They did some good things offensively. They moved the ball a little bit. They didn't, and through the air. They didn't really rush the ball particularly well against Clemson, but this is a totally different animal as far as this defense of Dave Doran here in NC State. I think that they will be much improved over last year. They were 3-9, if I'm not mistaken, last year, which was one of the worst records that they've had there in years. And they still are effective running the ball. The kid at quarterback he was kind of thrown out there last year and ended up playing pretty well at times. So all is not lost. I still think that NC State will end up, maybe a 5-win team or so. This is possible there. But I don't think it's Devin Leary, that's his name. I'm trying to think of that kid's name. I had to look it up in my trusty Athlon magazine. In this situation, though, I feel like Wake Forest is the better team. Yes, they got blown out by the Taters last week. Lots of teams are going to get blown out by the Taters. You got to look between the lines. They did do some good things. They have that experience, one game under their belt. That means a lot. I'm taking the road team here to cover this number. I think Wake Forest goes to Raleigh and picks up the win over NC State. Navy at Tulane. Tulane is laying 6.5 points at home against the Naval Academy, who did not play last week. We saw them play on Labor Day against BYU, and they were blown out. And their coach, Ken Niumatalolo, put that loss on himself. And the fact that he did not let the team tackle in practice. I don't know. I can understand you might be a little bit rusty, but, by the time that you've made it to the college level, you should know how to tackle. You just really should. I know that you have to keep chipping away at these fundamentals of practicing them all the time. But, let's just face it, these quarterbacks that you have now, pretty much, they never take a lick in practice. None of these guys really, almost all the time, they are not live in practice. And you see more and more of that, I think. Because the risk of injury is just there. It's too great. They should have had some kind of contact, though. It's a freaking contact sport. So I really don't understand why they didn't do any tackling whatsoever. But I just don't think you can lay, what was it, like a 45-3 loss or something like that, to a team and blame it all on we didn't practice tackling. You had a piss poor game plan, you didn't execute, and you just got blown out. That's just basically what happened there. And Tulane is a good team. Willie Fritz is one of the more underrated coaches in the group of five. I would dare say one of the better ones in the American Athletic Conference, which is got some young up and coming coaches in it. Fritz is of an older coach, but they run it's like a variation off of an option type thing. He liked to run the option at Georgia Southern, and then kind of got away from it at Tulane a little bit and morphed into something a little bit more modern, something that fit the American Athletic style of play that he could kind of exploit those defenses with. And he's done a nice job there. They've picked up some decent wins in the past few years, grown into a nice little program. I can't get over what I saw from Navy in the first week. They looked absolutely lost, really bad. And, I don't know. I think there will be a huge improvement from week 1 to week 3 here. But I just don't think it's going to be enough to win this game. I don't think it's going to be enough to cover the spread. I think this is going to be a tough year for the midshipmen. So give me Tulane to cover the spread here at home against Navy. The final game on the docket is Louisiana Tech on the road against Southern Miss. Southern Miss is laying 5 and the hook in Hattiesburg. And think everybody saw them play week 1. They played in the Thursday night game against South Alabama and lost 32-21 at home to the Jaguars, which was not a good look. And their coach, Coach Hobson, went on ahead and stepped down the next day, resigned as head coach there. Kind of odd to see that happen, in the midst of all this COVID-19 stuff that we got going on. To see a coach, nobody just resigns like that. He can just quit. Okay, he was fired. Let's just face it. I mean, they told him to go on ahead and resign. So they didn't have to fire him. It's odd to see that happen with all this stuff going on. I bet it did. And now we see them favored after a week not playing at home against a team in Louisiana Tech that lost a lot offensively from last year's team that went to a bowl game and shut out the Miami Hurricanes 14-0 in the Independence Bowl. Just looking at this for me, I still have some confidence there in Southern Miss behind the quarterback, Jack Abram. I think Abram's a good quarterback. They can't run the ball. We didn't see them run the ball very well or very effectively against South Alabama. But I think they can get that part of the game polished up. The guy, one of the offensive coordinator, took over as the interim head coach. And very oftentimes you see players kind of rally around the new man in charge when something like this happens. I don't know if there was some kind of internal unrest at that school. I really don't know. I know that several of their players opted out over the summer. And I don't know if they had any kind of, I'm not speculating here, I don't know if they had any kind of racial tensions or something there, but I had heard that was like a rumor. Something going on there. So who knows if that had anything to do with that. But anyway, getting back on topic here, when you have a head coaching switch like this in the middle of a year, oftentimes you see the troops rally around the new guy. And this is just the spot to do it in. Louisiana Tech, I don't think it's going to be very good this year. We're just replacing a lot. It's a home game for Southern Miss. It's almost like a new beginning for them. I look for them to win this game. I look for them to cover the spread here in this Conference USA matchup. Give me those Golden Eagles to cover the spread in this game and win that one straight up. So there are our picks for the week. We're taking UCF, App State, Louisville, Wake Forest, Tulane, and Southern Miss to cover the spread, along with Boston College, Syracuse, Oklahoma State, and Notre Dame. So there they are, guys, the picks against the spread for week number 3 of the college football season. Hope you all enjoyed that. If you liked this video, please hit it with a thumbs up. Show me how much you liked it, and it really helps me out. So I do appreciate it when you do that. Stay tuned and subscribe to the Carolina Jackpot channel if you're not subscribed already. Make sure you click my little bell so you can get some notifications whenever Carolina Jackpot posts a new video, which during college football season happens quite frequently. It's almost game week for my Gamecocks, so you can expect to see a lot of content from me going forward. I'll see y'all later, guys. Peruse your it. Peace, and I'm out. Go Gamecocks.